All right, let's dive in. We're going to peel back the layers on one of Bob Dylan's most powerful late-career songs. And what's wild about this track is how it sounds both ancient and somehow incredibly now. Okay, the song kicks off with this unforgettable line. It's just so direct, so forceful. He's telling you straight up, he is not a fraud. But, here's the kicker, the name of the song he's singing is literally False Prophet.
So, what's going on here? That's the central puzzle, right? This contradiction is what gives the whole song its energy, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack together.
All right, so to solve this thing, we've got to start with the first question. Who is actually speaking? Because let's be real, in a Dylan song, when you hear the word I, it's almost never just him talking about his day. It's a character. It's a carefully constructed voice. And that brings us to this key idea, persona. Now, don't think of it as a lie. It's more like a performed version of yourself. You know, a role you play for an audience. And in False Prophet, man, that role is seriously complex. It's slippery. So it's absolutely crucial we keep these two things separate. On one side, you've got Bob Dylan, the actual guy, the artist, and on the other, you've got the speaker of the song, this persona, this character that Dylan is using to put an idea on stage. Yeah, this song isn't a diary entry. It's pure theater. So what is this character made of anyway? Well, it's this potent cocktail, right? It's part boastful swagger, part mask that hides just as much as it shows. It's a bit of a warning, like, don't mess with me. And underneath it all, there's this hint of a dark, twisted joke. Okay, so that brings up the big question. Why this mask? Why a prophet? Even a false one? To get that, we have to rewind the tape a bit and look at the weight of history that's been hanging around Dylan for, well, decades. I mean, from the very start of his career, people were slapping these heavy labels on him. Spokesperson for a generation, a moral witness, a prophet. You got to remember, his songs were the soundtrack to the civil rights movement, to all this cultural upheaval. So the audience, they wanted him to be their guide.
And right there, that's the central conflict. The public wanted a moral compass. But Dylan? He's always been this elusive artist, constantly ducking and weaving away from that role. He has literally spent his entire life pushing back against being put in that box.
It's such a clever move, right? A total paradox. When he says, I ain't no false prophet, he's not saying he's just some regular guy. No way. He's rejecting the idea that he's a fraud, but he's still hanging on to this idea that he's exceptional. He's basically saying, yeah, I'm on the stage, but I'm playing by my rules. Okay, so we've talked about the words. Now let's talk about the sound. Because the power, the authority in this song, it's not just coming from the lyrics. It's baked right into the music, and maybe most of all, into that voice. False Prophet is a perfect example of what critics call late style. And that's more than just, being an older artist. It's a whole different approach. It's where you trade in slickness and polish for something raw, something abrasive. It's when an artist's voice starts to carry the sheer weight of mortality, without any apology. And this ties right into another cool idea, vocal grain. That's literally the texture you can hear in his voice. The rasp, the friction, all that wear and tear. For most singers, that would be a flaw, right? But here, it becomes an instrument in itself. The very sound of survival becomes its own kind of authority. So you can really break the song's power down into these three ingredients working together. First, you've got that heavy, swampy blues riff that just grounds the whole thing in this powerful American tradition. Second, there's that incredible vocal grain we just talked about, turning the sound of age into a kind of weapon. And third, the pacing is so deliberate, so measured. It projects total command, not wild energy. Okay, so we've got the persona, the history, and the sound. We've got all the pieces. So how do they all lock together? And more importantly, why does this song from 2020 feel like it could have been written this morning? Well, it's because the song's core idea, this performance of a powerful but totally unstable identity, it just hits so hard right now. It perfectly captures the vibe of our times, where public trust in everything, institutions, leaders, even in truth itself, feels like it's crumbling. I mean, just think about it. We are swimming in this culture of debating who's authentic and who's a fake. There's the constant pressure to create a personal brand online. We see these endless fights over who gets to speak and who has real authority. The character in False Prophet, he feels like he was born out of this exact moment. So when you get right down to it, this song is so much more than just a character study. It's a play.
It's a dramatization of our modern condition where pretty much any claim to truth is immediately questioned, immediately suspect.
And so we kind of end up right back where we started, with a question. The song doesn't give you an easy answer, and maybe that's the whole point. It just leaves you there to wonder. In this age of performance, in a world of masks and personal brands, what does an authentic voice even sound like anymore? And would we even know it if we heard it?